We're about to start hot mic, so take off all your clothes. We are starting hot mic.
Nice, Sheba.
Thank
Nice.
you. Thank you. I was going to start with a Ashanti song, but I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. I know there are ones.
Yeah.
Of course, and I love, but yeah.
But I just think of the this is all from like my college years, yo. It's the Ashanti and Ja Rule joint. What is that?
They had a lot.
They had a few, yeah.
And I can't go without you.
What's that one?
Probably it's called Can't Go Without You.
All right, there we go. Always on time. That's the one.
Yeah. Put It On Me.
Put It On Me.
Mesmerize.
What would I do without you?
What I do without you.
What up, y'all?
Ja Rule's name is Jeffrey.
Ja Rule's name is Jeffrey.
And he's also from New York.
Yes, I knew that.
And his third billing on this overview is actor.
For sure. Ja Rule has an actor resume, real talk. I think he was in Fast Five, or in the series at some point. And then he's in like...
Oh, but Ja Rule might have been in it too. Ja Rule might have been in it too.
I'm not confusing Tyrese.
I'm like, wow.
Ja Rule. Can you
Two black rappers, and it's gotta be...
Tyrese
not
is
that
not
Tyrese
a
is a
rapper.
rapper.
What is going on, yo? What is going on?
You know, the vibration of Earth is raising. It's vibrating faster. Like, everything is crumbling. These old systems that don't serve us are crumbling. So, you know, things get a little confusing. But that's okay.
Yeah, a little confusing. It's okay. Yeah. It's all right, though. We're working it out. We're working it out. Hold on, let me get this sound right here. I can't hear that. That's interesting.
I can hear it.
Oh,
I think it's in the...
Is it in the headphones? All right, wait. I got this. Take that to speakers. All right.
Did they hear my
Yeah, they heard
intro?
it.
Okay.
They heard that my intro.
Good.
Great job, by the way.
Good. Thank you.
All right, so we are in. What's good, everybody?
Hello.
Another applause. Real quick. Yep.
We are here on Hot Mic. We are your hosts. I'm Sheba.
She's Sheba. I'm Billy. And we're here to do it again. It's another Sunday.
Yeah.
And we got a good one, yo.
Yeah. So much to chit-chat about.
There's a lot going on in the world. A lot of crazy stuff. And a lot of, like, just stuff to just observe. And so this first one, Sheba brought to our attention. And we are going to jump into the joint. Let's see here. Let's do it like this. Wait, I go. First off, I want to be on this full screen. And then I want to be on the split screen.
I'm split about his tour. My first response is I'm super happy for him for putting it together. The wife and mommy side of me is like, let me call Live Nation because I don't like this at all. Now, the wife side of me and mommy side of me is a little sad. You know, daddy's going to be gone for a long time.
I think it'll be fine.
Just the baby. It's a lot.
Well, listen, it's all you. I ain't gonna even lie. You know, I ain't got nothing for him.
Absolutely not, I know.
Until he can say, I'm hungry. Until he can say, I need to use the bathroom. It's gonna be a lot easier. But as soon as he started walking, I said, enjoy it. Because as soon as he gets to walking and talking, he with the crew.
I'm trying to understand, how is it that you just sleep through when he starts crying?
Do y'all really be up at night? I heard about it.
You know what? I'm split about his tour. My first response is I'm super happy for him for putting it together.
Wow.
He's like, it's sucks.
It's
just such a long... It's just such a long audio.
The applause, yeah. No, it can, you can... Go ahead, all right.
He's acting like nighttime parenting is like Sasquatch. Like, he's heard of it.
Yeah.
But, he's never seen it for himself.
That's kind of wild, yo.
Yeah.
Yo, so why did you bring this to our attention? Why is this on Hot Mic for you, baby?
Yeah, I saw this. Who gave this to me? My girl Trap Witch. Yeah. What did she talk about it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And anyway, it's just, it's interesting how, like women and people who like kind of have everything, have really aspirational kind of lives, are still, you know, women are tasked still with like caring for the group project of the child, and like men are just like, you know, I don't have anything for you. And it's tough because it's like, we were just talking about this yesterday. Country Grammar is an excellent album.
Excellent album.
It like, you know, like every song we played like all summer for like several years,
Multiple
I would
summers,
say. Yeah, multiple
he was
summers.
on it.
Now, was it good enough that I would find myself 20 years later impregnated by Nelly and caring for his children?
He's still eating off that album, baby. It's that good.
What do you think Ashanti's doing?
He's still eating off that album.
Yeah.
Please.
That's the new tour. It's probably he's gonna be doing those. People are gonna go in and they want to hear the old E-I-E-I. Uh-oh.
But like, do we need that?
But do we need that? What do you mean do we need that?
Is that what the world is missing right now? Nelly abandoning his wife and child in order to feel the heyday of when he was hot. Has he evolved since then?
Wife and child. He's gonna make money. They're gonna.
That's not what they need though. Like, they're already rich.
I guess they might be. I mean, we don't know what's going on, but
I mean, it sounds like Ashanti's issue is that
that's what it is.
She has to
yeah.
care for this child alone.
The problem is that even if he's home, it's like that. That's what I think
exactly.
the problem is. It's not the tour. She said at the beginning
exactly.
she's happy for the tour.
It's
like,
not about like making money. And I bet she is happy. I bet she's the breadwinner in this thing. And so she's like, great, I'm glad you're like getting some work. But could you care for your child when you're home? I don't think that's an unreasonable ask.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. I don't know about like who. I mean, just career wise, I don't know. I don't know who's crushing it, but it doesn't matter. Either way, the point is this thing with the child thing, and it was funny because she says, well, as you get a picture, you get a sense of what's going on because she says, or he says it. He says, "Yo, I ain't got nothing for him,"
and she says,
"Until he can speak." Know. Yeah, she says, "I know." So there's just an agreement there. There's some sort of an agreement that was made, and it's you know, like I said, it's a pretty clear one. Like it's an obvious one. I grew up with that kind of a sense of that same agreement. I said this in a video I did where I talked about my womanism. I grew up in a space where, frankly, there were no successful marriages, zero successful marriages. It was always a breakup at some point. And then what happened was all the women got the kids, and then like we would do a family, like even with aunts and uncles, people I didn't really see that often, but we would do like a family thing, or something happened and people would come together, and like the dude would come back and he had a new girlfriend, but the kids were always with the mom. That's true with my mom too. So
it's interesting. Like that's how like my family, all you know, successful marriages. But still, the women do the overwhelming, you know, weight proportion of the childcare and the child rearing, and it's probably best, you know, that we have a family that's at least like they were, you know, together on paper. Because if like I was coming to a thing and they had a bunch of deadbeat dads strolling in, I would ruin the function over and over again consistently. They would stop inviting me because I'm like, why are we co-signing this apathetic, neglectful behavior?
Can I say even in some of the conditions that I'm talking about in my family, deadbeat dad might not even be accurate. Like there would be this kind of coordination and all that stuff, but the day-to-day child rearing, what they call it, custody, was always to the woman. I don't even know if the law probably also leans in that way too, you know? But then when you have, so that's like something that happens. It's this weird cultural formation. We don't have language around it. We don't talk about it. We just accept it like a fish accepts water. So that's what's happening in the divorce and custody shit. When you're in the relationships, there's this kind of like, they have a TV show. They seem to have a successful relationship, but there's also just this tacit agreement that's not work for the guy.
And it's interesting, like, I wonder if their relationship would be deemed successful if Ashanti was getting ready for her tour and Nelly was like, how come you never get up with the baby?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't have anything for him. I created the baby and gave birth to him. So now, hopefully, for a couple of years, you can change a diaper at night.
Perfect.
I think
But what would he do? What would Jermaine Dupri do? Would he be like, ha ha ha, that's right?
I thought about that with the switch, right? The switch of it, because even when she first started, you know, they're on a tour. From what I understand, tours can be, especially if they're not on the tour together, like they could be, months of stuff apart. She was excited for him. The question I see, because I see this with like these other like relationships where there's a famous girl. What's that one? Killer the Bee. I keep messing this up.
Keke Palmer?
Keke Palmer. Yo, Keke, if you're watching this, I love you. I think you're gorgeous and talented.
You.
I don't know why I keep saying Killer the Bee instead of saying your name. You're really funny in interviews too. You seem like a real down-to-earth person. And a
baddie.
And a baddie, for real talk. Yeah.
I'm like, you're too good for all these hoes. All these dudes. Like,
but what keeps happening with her and this other girl I'm trying to think of is they, in order to maintain that thing about like her requirement to be at home, to raise kids, or to even to be small and unseen. Like this is a professional celebrity person, right?
Yeah.
But the dudes will try to actually sabotage the tour, right? They will try to like publicly denounce things and like
they try to mess up her money and life and how people see her.
That's the difference, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think Ashanti's doing that. She's publicly talking about something, and Nelly is co-signing like that. Yeah, he doesn't do any child rearing. He doesn't wake up for the kid. He's not touching diapers or anything like that until the kid can begin to speak, it seems. That's what he says. And then and walk. And I just don't think it happens the other way around. It just doesn't happen the other way around.
It's like women's value is in literally what they do. Our unpaid labor is like expected of us, but like men are not expected to do any of that labor, and whatever they do, we're supposed to be so like happy and like great, and we just like accept that they don't do basic things like care for their child when they're at their most vulnerable time. And it's just like, what is the point? Just might as well like get a sperm donor if you're going to be a single mother, if you're going to be doing all the difficult parts, and then this guy gets to come and like have the fun parts of the baby, like whatever, you know, he gets to pick and choose how much he gets to be involved. Girl,
this is the stuff. This is like who was it that has 9 children, and she got and like someone had to like was it Cam Newton? I think it was Cam Newton who has 9 children. I hope I'm gonna get this right. But they were like, it was a question of like, what does it mean to have 9 children? You're proud of having 9 children.
Yes.
You are rich enough that you can, you know, all of your baby mamas will say that the child is taken care of. You're not a deadbeat in that sense. But still, what does it mean to take up, to like dispense with the gender role stuff and to actually be involved in these lives that you brought in? You know what I'm saying?
I remember like with my father, you know, my mother did all of the like emotional kind of rearing and all the kind of like physical rearing. She, you know, made us our meals. She woke us up and drove us all to our schools and activities, and you know, was the one who like tried to get to know us and comfort us when our dad was being like crazy. And the trade-off was that like my father had a job that like he helped contribute to. My mother also had a job that was like essentially the same price, and but my father, all he had to do was just work a job, and my mother had to do that and all of the child rearing, and that was supposed to be just okay. And I was always like,
this thing's on like in a particular way for you, right? Like this really smacks back to your
absolutely
childhood.
And I just see like, doesn't matter if it's a poverty and like, you know, single parent household thing or a, you know, divorce situation. It doesn't matter if it's a married thing and you're middle class. It doesn't matter if you're married and you are wealthy. In all situations, the women are going to be sad that they have to shoulder like the labor, like all of the labor of this 2-party job. And when they talk about it, the men just treat it like, yeah, that does suck, doesn't it?
It's just obvious, you know?
Like,
it's just obvious. And it's not a lane that women can have. You can't be a decent woman and have this sort of disdain for parenting
Yes.
or this sort of aloof approach to it. There's no way you would be a decent woman, and so it's just not a lane you see women take. It's just not available to them. But what's weird for me is, apart from the kid stuff, it's part of a bigger sort of. This is why we got to get rid of the gender roles, right? Because it's part of a bigger commitment to the masculine performance, right? It was more than just not touching the kids. Didn't you say your dad had a thing where like your mom did a bodybuilding tournament or something?
Yeah, that was when we were all adults. But yeah, it like so my mother, you know, when we graduated and she was retired and all this stuff, she got into working out again. And she was doing this, one of her trainers was like a bodybuilder. So my mom did like a little light intro showcase or whatever. And yeah, of course, my mom like invites all of us, the kids and like our dad, and you know, our like we're all up in like Baltimore, and where my parents were in DC essentially. And so like, of course, the kids, we like drove down, and you know, we like meet at the house, and we're gonna go with mom, and you know, my dad's like doesn't look like he's like ready to go, and I'm like, are you coming? And he's like, no, you know, like husbands don't do that. Husbands don't like. And I was like, and I knew it was bullshit, so I don't even remember exactly what he said, but I was like, oh, okay, he just doesn't want to support his wife, and he wants that to just be like, oh yeah, well, of course, it's the improper thing is to support your wife when she's doing a thing that she enjoys.
We gotta reframe the whole thing. I mean, we've inherited that logic. Your dad inherited that logic. He didn't invent that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think he probably adapted it in just enough. Like, for instance, she still got to go bodybuild. She still got to go on stage.
Exactly.
And she worked her body to be beautiful and to like present it. And a lot of men that age would say no to that, right?
Yeah. Like he comes from, and like this, like, you know, my mom would say like he's much better than his father was. But like his father also like beat all of his children and like beat his wife. And so I guess in their head, that he hasn't beaten his wife into submission, he's acting appropriately. I'm like, y'all are crazy. That is such a low standard. Yeah. Such a low standard.
Everything's so relative, you know. We got a comment, Erica BSMS. Why am I experiencing so many black males in general in everyday life that are feminine in the DMV area? Most are flaming gay. Most are not flaming gay, but just show themselves as though they are PMS.
I learned, like, now that I know more about like what's going on with people and things, like I see that, like, you know, I certainly in my family, we were taught to like kind of tap dance and around my father's moods, my father's emotionalness, my father's irritability, his anger, his irrational rage. And we all had to just kind of make ourselves smaller and try to avoid it and try to just stay out of his way and try to, you know, make ourselves small so we wouldn't be as impacted by it. And that's just expected. Because he's able to like maintain a job, like it's okay that we're all making ourselves smaller to accommodate his emotions. And I hate that we even like frame men being emotional and violent as like, we compare it to like PMSing to try to like belittle them. Because like, I know women, I could be PMSing right now and you wouldn't know, because women are just taught to... What?
Well, sometimes you know. Sometimes you do know, but you'll also tell me, and for the most part, though, you're fantastic.
It's because I'm always talking about my period, but like
that's true.
That's the thing too. Like, you know, I think a lot of times men say
you
like,
always talk about your period.
I am, like, because it's natural. So of course, if,
okay.
Like you had a monthly thing that happened every month. We would talk about it, but because it's like I'm a woman, like I'm supposed to like be ashamed and keep it to myself and not burden people with my discomfort. But why was I talking about my period? Oh, okay. So because like women, like, you know, even though we're experiencing physical pain, we're a chemical imbalance that is, you know, making our emotions like extra elevated, making it extra difficult to exist. We still go to work. and like are
This is
super pleasant and kind and polite, and we're still expected, like we're still, if we're ever upset, men are still like, oh, you're on your period. It's like, wow. And I hear two men have this idea of like, oh, men can't express emotions. Like, women can't express emotions without you guys saying like, oh, okay, must be on your period, in order to diminish us. And so I don't want to use the idea that like men are PMSing. Like, please.
Yeah.
I envision women who are PMSing as like, they're just trying to keep to themselves and like get their work done, and like,
So I think I know who the commenter is. I think I know Erica. So I would ask her if she's still on. Just tell me more about what PMSing means to you, and what they're doing, what even that are feminine to you. You mean like a feminine affect? No, you say most are not flaming gay, but they show themselves as a female. So yeah, when I read that, I think you're talking about like just emotional.
Which I'm hearing a lot of like internalized misogyny and misogynoir too, about the idea that like, Black men acting feminine is bad. But like, I wish more Black men would actually be feminine. I wish they would actually be soft. I wish they would actually be a safe place for women to be around.
See, that's what
I wish they would actually be nurturing and loving and make people feel good.
Yeah, I think that, again, it's like, what are we calling feminine? And if Erica's on, please follow up. But yeah, I think that's right. For me, if generally, as I think of myself and I think of like what I'm trying to do and how I approach things, I lean into who I am, the fullness of it. And I do think that what's lacking in a lot of the men that I roll with, I don't date the way you do. But like the men that I know, that like we can gain from this accessing that sort of chiller, relaxed, creative, feminine, moving with the flow, not the hyper masculine stuff, you know what I'm saying? But these are all definitions of what we're pointing to particularly. And the word masculine feminine doesn't do us stuff. But I do think when you say PMSing, like used in that way, yeah, that's like that's language. That's just she's adopting a pejorative, you know what I'm saying? But I've tried to do this. This is the problem with dudes. Like, PMS is something that we don't understand. We don't understand women's sexuality. We don't understand the menstrual cycle, the feeling, the experience of it. And so we've inherited a lot of shit. We are the inheritors of the people who they used to put women in outhouses for a month. Like, oh, you gotta go live over there because your blood is evil or disgusting,
When my mom was growing up, they actually used to think that PMS, that women cramping, was we were just making it up. They thought we were just being whiny, and so women had to just endure these like physical cramps, muscle cramps, and just to have these doctors just be like, okay, you liar, it's all in your head.
This is the reason, and this is why like we're in such a backwards world, and we're going backwards with things like DEI. This is why doctors have to be women, which is why some major women are 50% of the world. So some significant portion of the doctors need to be women. And if you're in a culture, as we had for most of this country's history, where women are X'd out of these positions of being doctors, of being able to diagnose reality, then this is like, reality is from the beholder, and this male perspective doesn't have room for it. It can't account for it. It would really have to, you got to let go to accept the deeper experience, especially those that you can't directly understand. And that's what's lacking in all societies, in like the medical stuff. But I'm talking like even present, it's lacking in like the discourse that men are typically having. We're coming out of this manosphere period where the point is to not understand women. The point is to make sure, to exacerbate and to expand that difference. Like, these women are weird, and
it's to identify a difference or a uniqueness, and then rationalize why it's bad.
Rationalize why it's bad, and why we're better, obviously.
Exactly.
And note that men do this to women. White people do this to Black people. The inside group Americans do this to the immigrant. It's a feature of like identity group stuff, and in each case you gotta slow down and actually be willing to accept that you guys have developed a vernacular that's not like...
It's features of groups that are like based on dominance, where like connection, like the goal is to dominate the out group, rather than to just like come together
and to
together.
Engage. But what I'm exactly, and my thesis is that this domination thing comes from a commitment to that difference. It is the domination thing is one of the emergent properties from like a narrative that commits itself to the separation between, and we have to like delude that, let that disillusion it. But again, we have like media organizations, and this is all media organizations and all these structures that lean into that because there's benefit for them and political stuff. But like, it all comes from that measurement and that separation, that trying to, I know you, I know you, I know me. You don't know anything actually. Like let's actually roll with each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the same. That's and obviously, like you and I don't have a kid, but I imagine like I couldn't imagine being able to say that. Like I wouldn't say that. And it's just not my philosophy.
I love that. Yeah. That's good because like what good is that? What do I need you for if you're not going to like help me when I'm at my most vulnerable, and when I specifically express that I would like your help, and you're just like, can't do it. Okay, then get out.
That's the wild thing. Like she brings it up. I can't believe, but she does it in a cutesy way. She doesn't say.
Because
I can't believe you don't wake up ever.
Because for her, she has told herself that she and her child deserve to do this alone. They don't deserve the help. And so she knows this man is not going to give it. And that's not a deal breaker for her. She's like, okay, it's fine. I'm like, girl.
Is their first kid or?
Yeah. Ashanti used to be one of my child-free icons. I was like, yes, girl. And so I feel sad for her that, like I was glad. I was like, okay, if she wants to be an older mother, that's like awesome. Hell yeah. I definitely think our fertility is much longer than they've been told. They try to convince us. But I would be mad if I was an older mother. I didn't have as much energy, and I had a husband who was like an emotional kind of deadbeat, and who then was like, but after 3 years of giving this child nothing, I will take him from you and then bring him around a bunch of 90s rappers. Are you kidding me? I'm thinking about Ashanti, but I'm also thinking about like her child. I would be like, who is this man? Mom, who is this man? Why is he taking me around? Is that Diddy? Wait, is that Drake? Why am I here now?
Nah, 90s rapper, baby. So it's Jermaine Dupri, Ja Rule.
I know they were on, Diddy was a 90s rapper. I know all of these people are such, they have no imagination. So they're all going to try to keep going back. So I'm sure Drake is going to try to capitalize off of the, things that have already been. And these men are about making money that like doesn't matter if there's any moral. There is no moral thing stopping them from,
Crucial Conflict. Remember Crucial Conflict? Hey, in the middle of the fun. I don't want to like play it and get it off, but you know that song?
No, I don't.
Anyway,
I remember the Saint Lunatics.
Yeah. That's Nelly's whole thing.
Yeah.
But anything
anyway,
else you want to say about this, babe? Yeah, I just think like I said, when we talked about like the gender switching, I don't see it. The only example I have, particularly on my like she's like, oh man, I don't want you to go on tour. The only example I have of that in the gender switch is these cases where wasn't there this dude that did a rap song where he started shitting on his girlfriend? Wasn't it the girl who does she's like the Little Mermaid?
Oh, Halle Bailey.
And then her boyfriend did a rap song for clout to get famous, where he shit on her and said, it was a mistake for falling in love with this woman.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, we're taught, certainly in the Black community, women, that like our ability to make money for ourselves is a knock against us. And so we're kind of taught to not be successful because we don't want to pressure the men to be more successful than us. They like it should naturally occur, so we should naturally kind of. And so I loved seeing examples of women like myself who are incredibly successful, you know, and have these things that we're told we're not supposed to have without first going through a man. And so being able to have all of these things and still be loved by an amazing man who also doesn't first require me to produce a child that I will, you know, raise and give him a legacy. It's like, I think women are tricked into giving up our valuable labor, literally like our ability to create. And we're supposed to just, I don't need any credit, I'll take it, and I don't even need any help. And I'm like, like he couldn't buy her a night nurse, a night nanny.
I'm sure they did do that. Like,
why don't they talk about it then?
Nanny, I don't know what someone who stays over and kind of does that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know we don't know the full details of it, but I'm sure there's
I think we just understand by this clip what they have provided is that Ashanti and not Ashanti and her night nurse are getting up to help Nelly. This. It's notably Ashanti and not Nelly doing it, and he's kind of like, is that really even happening?
Yeah.
It's like, is PMS?
That's wild.
Are you sure you guys aren't just making that up? It's not. It can't be as bad as you're saying it. And you know what? The reason he doesn't realize it's as bad is because she's kind of being cute about it and like, it's cool, but like, oh please.
And no, you know, and there's just generally a sense that makes sense. And we recognize Nelly's a successful person, probably wildly financially successful, and so there's just a bunch of assumptions there that, you know, but the problem is this shows up and then it just shows up across the board. She's
also wildly successful. So it's not like she's just this like random, you know, waitress or something that he is like elevated. Like she is independently wealthy on her own, independently very successful, and she still resigned to like she still hasn't given enough that they can have an equal partnership, but he has.
So good and tasty.
That wasn't the right one. Let's do alert. Yo, we're gonna take a quick break. Yo, I gotta use the restroom real quick, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna do part 2, babe. Unless you have something else you wanna say about this.
Can I stay on and just like
you wanna stay on?
Chit chat?
All right, cool.
Yay. Thanks, my love. What's those Nelly song I like? Oh, Nelly and Kelly Rowland. Though I'm a little bit, you know, I'm someone who's very good at like, when I realize, I will separate the art from the artist. And like, if I realize an artist is morally corrupted, I will never listen to them again. Like, I never listened to Chris Brown. I never listened to R. Kelly. When I hear one of their songs on, I'll turn it off like effortlessly, like instinctively. It's like my body will be like, nope. Anyway, I was saying that because I was gonna sing that song that he does with Kelly Rowland, but Kelly Rowland like keeps apologizing for Chris Brown. So, girl, no, sorry. We have to start holding men accountable and like not just be like, oh, did they make money in some way? Then we have to just, that's enough. We don't need him to be moral or kind or generous or creative. He just needs to like make money at some point in his life. Like,
everyone has to step into their power to create. I mean, that's just all it is.
Yeah.
Everybody's receiving a bunch of stuff, and you realize more and more how shitty the shit we've received is, then you distance yourself from it. I mean, on every count, everything from, you know what I'm saying, the way we value skin color and height and money and like superficial things, the way we denounce like this weird stuff. We've inherited racism and sexism and classism and so and gendered sort of privilege in all the ways, privilege and burdens, you know what I'm saying? Yes. The men who are also burdened with what we call manhood, you know what I'm saying? That is an incomplete construction. So when you step into it with love, you know what I'm saying? Ashanti asserts herself, and with love, they should like figure it out and have their own thing. You know what I'm saying? So
it sucks too, because like, you know, what if like Nelly finds out that he actually loves nurturing a child before they can speak, like loves trying to understand and anticipate this person's needs before they can fully articulate them. Like that would be feminine. That would be like a truly like beautiful femininity, like,
and it's available to him. It's simply something he will have to choose. He'll have to like make that world with his wife. It's all of these things are available to him. You'll have to like break down the assumptions of like what is femme or gay or all these kinds of weird constructions that we do.
I think it's too. It's kind of like in that. Was that the first episode we did with Papoose? And that black man being like, oh, men, your husband should never be the helpmate to your wife.
Exactly.
I think that's what this is too. I think
there,
it's
bro.
like your wife, like you help your wife. You help your wife by making money. There's no other way to help her. And if you do try to help her, then it's like gay and feminine and like emasculating. It's just so
I think
sad.
It's the men are crystallizing our experience into this capitalist economy, this system where people can end up homeless without health insurance, working until they're 94, and we get to crystallize the narrative on what it means to be successful. So we did it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we come up with these great stories about the man who creates all this stuff, but we also know that there's this whole other thing, and we externalize it, and we put it on y'all, and a good woman accepts that. A good woman says, I actually do like all that. I want all that. I will do that. I will be your supporter as you go out there and slay dragons. I will have the food ready when you get back. Shit like this, and so. Some people will agree to that, and actually, motherfuckers have the right to kind of figure that out. But it's like, I do think that love includes something more malleable and creative because everybody's condition is going to be slightly different. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. I think we, sometimes...
very different.
Yeah. We sometimes hear in the manosphere and out of it because it's like, that's kind of... Our society is very misogynist, but like, men want women to be afraid of like... dying alone, not having children, not getting married. But like, my worst fear is getting married, giving up my dreams and energy to support a man's dreams, and him like saddling me with a child that I have to like also subvert more of my dreams to care for this child, and that I'm eventually just, mostly the roles that I am to the man, like, and this other, human, and I'm no longer myself.
That's your worst fear?
That's my worst fear. And I think men don't have that. It's not like a common story, but like, it's just something that women are taught to like, not only accept, but to try to see how it's actually a nice thing. And I'm like, y'all crazy. Y'all are crazy.
I see it more and more on Facebook. I see women talking about like being giving cautionary tales about like don't let a dude pregnant you. Yeah. And I grew up in a period. I remember cats used to it was just real flippant about it. Like shoot up in the club, especially if you could bag one of the more desirable chicks in the neighborhood, let's like tie yourself together through a child forever. Everyone can remember that you. And
it's not tying yourselves together. It's tying her to you and tying her down, helping her, like making sure she has less options, making sure that she is tethered, and that that's how they've been taught to feel powerful and to have value, is to like trick a woman out of her value.
The truth is everybody's tethered, but in terms of a legal sense and in terms of the day-to-day sort
and a
of
social sense,
assumptions of, it's like
I couldn't,
it's
treat
what it is.
our child. Like if you wanted to go and like live somewhere else, like go to another country, start another family, do something, everyone would kind of just like assume that I would care for the child. Like I'm like, no, I'm giving up for adoption. You don't want it? Okay. Cool. Like I'm not going to give up my life for a thing that you're not willing to give up your life for. And so like it would maybe be best to just like keep your children safe in your ovaries until we can all, as a species come to an agreement about how we're going to treat the children once they come into this realm.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely on the reverse. The kick they're trying to do is to get women, they want more children, right? We got to replenish the ranks.
Which is like,
shit. But, she was on the reverse.
Which is, that's the other thing. Okay, so Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the worst, most racist, shittiest people in modern history, really want you to have children. So you think that's in your best interest.
Right. It's funny how they have a social, so we're constantly being reminded that this is a capitalist society. We're all individuals. The only ways that we should be having social uplift is through charity, which is when a wealthy person of their own volition and by their own standards gives whatever they want. There should be no structural social constructions. Because societies aren't real. It's the only thing that's real is the individual, right? This is their philosophy that justifies all of this billionaire, trillionaire shit. And then, on this though, they're willing to get the government to get rid of contraceptive, to undermine abortion, and to push for the good of society. For the good of society, everyone needs to have a child. So I find it's just one of the many absurdities, you know what I'm saying? Which is why it's important to just be like, fuck you, and do you, and figure out what you want. Don't get stuck doing anything else.
Yeah. It's not like that absurd. Like, it's obvious that they want people to have laborers who don't have a lot of options, who know that you have to earn a living and you have to like sell your labor. So like those white men want us to produce more laborers who can produce more profit for them. So why would I give them what they want? Please, babe. I'm an NFT. One of one.
She was one of one, y'all.
Rare.
Applause for that. Applause for that, y'all.
Valuable.
Is there anything else you want to do, baby?
No, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's move on to number 2.
To how a black man who I think is using his voice and power and position well. So Nelly, take notes. Cornelius, what is Nelly's real name? I think we assume it's Cornelius, but I think it's
what is it?
Eleanor.
What?
It's like, they used to, like, girls' names used to be boys' names back then, like Shannon and Kelly.
So you just went with Eleanor?
Eleanor.
You just went with it?
Yeah, Nelly.
Okay.
Let me see.
Tell us when you find it. What is it?
Cornell.
Yeah.
Cornell Iral. Cornell Iral. I-R-A-L.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Haynes?
Yeah. Scorpio.
Cornell is better than Cornelius, I will say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not Cornelius. I'm like, what? Yeah. That's one of those names like Heathcliff.
Exactly.
Or Garfield.
Milton.
Your dad's name's Milton.
Yeah.
Milton, yes.
Also, he's 50. That's like, it is such like old man, kind of thinking like, oh, no, raising the children, that's women's work. Like, and like, it just looks so goofy to see these like guys trying to be hip and cool, like, while also shirking their responsibilities as fathers. Anyway, let's keep moving.
Let's get into this Bob Vylan concert controversy. 1 second. And split screen.
I think it's now become abundantly clear who controls the world. Because Bob Vylan, a member of an English punk rap duo, just lost everything in less than 24 hours. His talent agency, gone. Visa, revoked. Their US tour, canceled. Why? Because during a performance at Glastonbury, he had the gall to say these words.
Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
Now, first off, I just want to point out that the crowd was chanting along, so that says something. But whether you agree with the chant or not, and whether you think it's fair game or hate speech, that's not really the point of this video. Point is, Bob Vylan has been spewing this kind of anti-establishment, anti-British venom for years, and not a single person in power batted an eye. Because these are all direct quotes uttered by Vylan in the past. Quote, kill Queen, burn Britannia, dig up Maggie, referring to the late Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. I wipe my arse with the UK flag, then spit on the crown. Give Churchill's statue a rope, see if it floats. I mean, this guy has said some of the most vile and hateful things about some of the most powerful and revered figures in Britain. And the reaction from the UK elite? That's right, crickets. Not a show canceled, not a revoked visa, not a dropped contract. But the moment he criticizes Israel, even just once, his entire professional life is torched in a matter of 24 hours. And look, you don't have to like Bob Vylan. You don't have to like his music. You don't have to like what his political stances are. This isn't really a defense of him. But let's get one thing straight. Okay? Famous quote, if you want to know who rules over you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize.
All right, go for it.
I think the Zionists want us to, like, you know, because I saw them like, look, he spoke out about the IDF, which also IOF. It's the Israeli Occupation Forces. They're not defending themselves. They're an invading, occupying army. Okay.
Language matters, yo.
It does. So death to the IOF. But, you know, the Zionists want to think like, oh, see, you know, his career is over. His life is over. I had never heard of this man before, and now I know a lot about him. Exactly.
And all the platforms now.
You know, him, the singer and the drummer are both named Bobby Vylan. One is Bobby with IE, and the other is with a Y.
Okay.
I was
interesting.
like, that's got to be confusing.
That's interesting. Probably that's not their
their real names.
Now, right?
Yeah, I feel like
that's their stage names, maybe.
Yeah, but it's Bobby Vylan and Bobby Vylan.
That's interesting. Yo, one of the things I want to like critique like straight. So first off, shout out to 59 or 5149 James Lee. You got to follow him. He's one of the best investigative journalists on social media, real talk, and I've been following him for a while. He says the people who control the world. I want to push back against that. Motherfuckers don't control the world. And I want to push back against it in particular because I know some people who like that myth, who like that idea. There's a person I went to high school with who showed up early on in this genocide, showed up on my Facebook, excited about the idea that he said Israel has to kill 30,000 Palestinians before this is over. And now we've eclipsed that by a great measure. We've probably doubled that, if not more.
So it means this is over.
And he's still out on social media. I saw him recently on social media talking more about what more needs to be done, and we have to bomb Iran, and this is why we have to do all these things. It's a very twisted individual, right? And he loves the idea that Israel controls, that he's actually this special person. And I don't think that's right. And I know that's not right. Bob Vylan is going to be fine. Yes. He actually just posted on socials, I saw, he's doing independent. He's got a tour coming up. All this stuff. They don't control anything. And in fact, it used to be anti-Semitic to say that they control stuff. They don't. They are what you have, and what he's noticing too, and this is important to point out, when Bob Vylan says all those things about the Queen, we live in a 21st century world where you have free speech, where you can say anything. So yes, he said, I will spit on the Queen, I will kill all these things, I burn the flag, all these things, right? Yet the United States, we have a similar policy about free speech. Israel, the leadership, the Likud-Nicks, the AIPAC people, who are all spun from Israel, the ADL in this country, they operate on 17th century logic. They're confused. They believe in the epic religious battle between the Muslim and this is nonsense. And they're projecting that and forcing the rest of the world to play their stupid game. And so what you see with Bob Vylan is the same thing happening to journalists being snatched up in this country. Because we have warped logic and we have an aggressive set of Zionists who are setting our terms of normal. In a normal America, in a normal Britain, artists, anyone can speak their mind and say even vile things.
But especially artists.
But anyone can say things.
Exactly.
And that's what it means. That's how we get a deeper sense of reality. Mm-hmm. But because of this construction, this irrational, reflexive support of Israel, we're being pulled into Netanyahu's 17th century evil, backwards thinking, where what's more important is what Bob Vylan said. What's less important is the fact that the very organization he's chanting against, the IOF, is killing children, burning children alive on a daily, has poisoned food aid. They took over food operations and begins poisoning the food aid. And then when people are coming for the poisoned grain, starving after being starved, that they're being shot. These are things that the Nazis couldn't have thought about. The Nazis couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
They didn't have the ability to pull this off.
Yeah.
And we're all supposed to believe that that's okay, and we're supposed to defend not Jewish people, not even Israelis, not even the concept of an Israeli citizen. The IDF needs to be protected.
Armed combatants
Who are committing war crimes, who have been given the license for war crimes from the highest superiors in their country, that we're all supposed to have fealty, and artists can't speak honestly. Get the fuck out of here.
Please.
We don't live in that world.
We don't.
Sorry.
And
I know that you want us to. We don't live in that world.
Yeah, they're seeing that we don't live in this world. When it's a crazy thing. I'm like, y'all are insane if you really think that like threatening us with, oh, you're gonna put us in jail and great, I'm gonna be in jail with a bunch of innocent people. So great. They can't arrest all of us.
Absurd.
And they won't. And they are
And
gonna
this is the world they want to create?
Exactly. I'm like, okay, go ahead and try. We're all more equipped than we've ever been at any time in history, and we have the ability to be more united than we've ever been, and to like, compare our notes. So now we actually know what's going on, and that the only moral, appropriate, reasonable thing is to chant incessantly, death to the IDF.
Absolutely. That's what makes sense. That's
reasonable behavior.
Death to genocide. Death to concepts of supremacy, however they show up. Whatever ethnic group makes, or nationality makes the claim.
But particularly European-based ones, like they are extra great at not only genocide, but rationalizing it and celebrating it, and normalizing it. So it's kind of icky, but it has to be done. Like, no.
What an absurd backwards.
I can't believe.
Are you kidding me?
That's been the craziest thing. I think Francesca Albanese was talking about, like, we've been taking part in this like decades long, farce where we just pretend we don't like that the Jews are just these like peaceful people who don't like what I didn't even like they hate us so much, and like we've all just been expected to just watch in horror as they like lie and threaten and bully, and it's over.
It's very you don't like the word clever, but I use the word clever here because what we're dealing with is everything from Ted Cruz's confusion. We did an episode where Ted Cruz is so confused he believes he has to support starving innocent children and bombing hospitals. He has to support that because of ancient biblical texts, is this confusion. So there's a use of that, there's manipulation of that strain of confusion, all the way down to the buying of AIPAC, all the way down to the elevation of the ADL. When I say the buying of AIPAC, I mean AIPAC buying Congress people, all the way to the ADL. The ADL, the only reason we know Greenblatt and the ADL is because CNN and the cable news organizations elevate him and bring him out so that he can say his little piece about what he's seeing in the world, and we're seeing more and more how absurd that is, right? He had nothing but smiles for Elon Musk when he did the Nazi salute, because there's money and power in Elon Musk. So no, we're gonna figure that out. He's cool. We're gonna give him a trip. But in these other people, they ruin careers. It's complete control of the narrative. You are compelled to use only the accepted speech, and if you disagree, we're gonna call you a bad person while we commit atrocities on the daily, and we defend the atrocious. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. If anything, I don't call it clever because it's too brutish. It's too simple. It's what any barbaric animal would do. Just try to like get other big animals to like Hulk smash their way, and just try to like kill and throttle and choke any okay, any invasive species can do that. It does not mean they're like super clever, so brilliant. Like, no.
Yeah. It's the I agree with you.
And that's why also it's like, if they were really clever, like we would be able to solve it without violence. We would have much more clever ways of navigating through this. And that's what I think. The cleverness is the resistance. How Bob Vylan, how the Palestinians, how, all the people who have been supporting the Palestinians for decades have operated. That is clever. Layla Khalid They hijacked a plane in the 70s and, were just like, and flew it just like over Israel's airspace just to show that they could. And that's clever. That's clever.
What we have now is that's the 70s, right? I mean, those things are, but now it's just,
and like it's,
and the cultural, what I'm talking about, like the cultural, it's not logical. It's just a pure reflexive cultural. I mean, when you see John Fetterman, when you see these guys willing to deplatform artists, they cut against their own logic on free speech. It's insane.
Because their logic is not in free speech. Free speech is a tool to support their logic, which is they want to do whatever they want. That's their logic. So if they want to do it, they can do it. And then they use tools like free speech or appropriateness or the Bible or whatever they need to justify their actual desire, which is...
or the international law even.
Exactly, sure.
And when they need it, they'll appeal to it. And when they don't, so who cares? We don't do international law. We just kill. We just kill. Who's going to stop us?
And who is going to stop us? I think this is the other thing. It's like, they're trying to show us that like, if you speak even sort of, like in support of Palestinians, we're going to use all of our power to crush you. And we have to know that like, okay, bring it.
It's unbelievable.
It's not going to stop me.
Yeah, you've got to step in truth no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And,
exactly. Especially when they want you to not. When they want you to be too afraid to. Oh, please. Now I know exactly. Like they're giving you the tools that will defeat them.
Exactly. That's the weird thing about truth. You don't even have to do a great deal of work. You've already won.
You just have to point it out.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And then you align yourself with that. Consistently, you win.
And it's easy. It's free.
Yeah.
It, doesn't take anything external to you.
It's the path. It's God, actually.
It's God.
At the end of the day. Truth is God. What is God. The rest of it, these other constructions and words and your fears and you avoiding this and you trying to these
illusion.
National symbols and things that you that's not God. Let me just follow up with this. Fuck that, yo! Because while they get Bobby Vylan, the truth is, at the Glastonbury thing, everybody was excited about the same message. Fuck that, yo! Fuck the IDF! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Fuck that, yo! Fuck the IDF!
And this is what we need artists to do. And that's why, maybe next time we'll talk about Beyonce or something. But like, this is actually what artists should be doing. And so if you don't see them risking their paycheck to say the obvious right thing, you got to, that's evidence that they're a CIA plant and they're here to pacify you. They're here to distract you from your actual path, from God.
Either a CIA plant or an independent person who, one way or another, calls themselves apolitical or is focusing on the career or is taking a path. It's like, at the end of the day, the challenge is that when you say CIA plant, I'm just trying to give like a range of it because there's lots of artists who aren't CIA plants. They just I'm a music person and I make fun songs.
They want to be a CIA plant. They're like hoping that if they stay, do the tap dance enough, maybe one day they can be a CIA plant like Beyonce.
They want the access to this whole thing. And one of the things I had to
show
learn
they're loyal
in my process is like, and this is a bar from my homeboy Sandman. He said, why do you care about burning bridges you don't want to go across? People and organizations and places that I have left that I've grappled with, okay, how should I engage? And there's this thing called truth, but I want to be careful because there's a whole thing over here. The power is in the uniqueness of the ability to actually like form my own attachments with my own values at play.
It's like, you got to know you can fly.
That's the thing.
They got everybody so concerned about burning bridges that you're keeping a bridge to a bunch of Nazis intact. Why would you want them to be able to access you? It doesn't make sense, actually. And part of why I think we're succeeding so much right now and we're going to continue to elevate is because I see this, like, I'm seeing this, like, vision of this sword, like, Archangel Michael with, like, a sword of truth, and they're just severing all ties that are...
Here's another one. Ready?
I didn't know it was going to be that long.
There we go. Okay.
Saying, no ties will bind me. No bridge will keep me stuck. And we have to be willing to burn these bridges. Otherwise it's gonna, And so, like, that's, at my work, you know, I've done a lot of speaking up, and, you know, I know there's, like, this anxiety that, like, people won't like you, or it'll be weird. I don't like these people. They're Nazis. Why would I care what they think of me? I'm the cool, just, powerful one, operating from love and within my power.
Perfect.
Why would I care what a bunch of cowardly white people think of me?
Yeah. Yeah, burn the bridge is a big metaphor. It seems really big. Everybody, a bridge is a big thing, and it's all messy. For me, even simpler, it helps to just kind of simplify, like, just on basic chemistry, man. It's not burning bridges. There are attachments that were created and forged based on my understanding of myself, my understanding of safety, my understanding of what the world was. And then you get to a point where those bonds don't serve you anymore. They're actually, those attachments tether you to something more. You think it's just tethering you to safety or certain potentials, but yeah, it's also keeping you from seeing other things, and you're this fear of being alone, and to create from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's really what I think the part of the artist's journey is. You can see artists going through it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm trying to give complexity to even what you're saying when you say, like, these are CIA plants. I'm trying to say, like, people are at different parts of their journey, but you see someone like Beyonce, which is why you want to bring her up. Like, I don't think she's on a path towards this kind of self-sustaining artistry. She's an artist. She's a brilliant, talented artist who's now on a path to just, like, how can she be a billionaire? How can she keep?
Yeah, she's already a billionaire. You know? So exactly, and that's what the CIA wants. They want us to be nationalist. They want us to be all about making money. They want us to never stop making money. It's always about making more money. They want us to collaborate with racist, wealthy white men in order to make sure they can keep making money. And, you know, like, I say CIA plant because it's like, you can denounce the CIA, you can go against them, and that is what you should do. So if you don't want me to call you a CIA plant, you better get onto a watch list with me or shut the hell up.
Perfect.
So good and tasty.
And yeah, and so I just, you know, I think about that when I think about the Super Bowl, which is like a big war propaganda recruiting event for the U.S. And so, like, I know we had, like, a lot of hope for Kendrick Lamar.
K-Dot.
And then he came out with the nationalist America, you know, spectacle, and there was, like, a person who, you know, a black man who interrupted with a Free Palestine thing, and Kendrick hasn't said anything about Palestine, hasn't done anything to support that guy, and, like, that just, like, shows you more of where he's at. Like, and I saw some pictures, he's, like, with Hillary Clinton and with, you know, Obama, and I'm like, we have to grow up, all of us. It's tough. We've been taught that, like, taking the money from the highest bidder is the smart thing, and it's not. You gotta burn these bridges and bet on yourself. Once you, like, untether yourself, it'll be scary for a second, but then you might be like, oh, can I fly? Have I been able to fly this whole time? And I've been terrified of not having a bridge because I need these other people to
Yeah. The challenge is, we've never been more equipped. The technology has never been more there for us to do what you're suggesting.
Yeah.
I think, you know, years past have been much more difficult to, especially if you were someone like Kendrick, like, you're in the fold. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're being called for the Super Bowl, your contracts, you've got, you're filling out stadiums, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole infrastructure he would have to I think he can do a lot more. I think he can speak out a lot more. I think he's been creative. Even what you're saying with the flag, or there are people who interpret that entirely differently, right? That he uses the flag to make a critique, to talk about, America and the Samuel L. Jackson in particular, that character. Artist to artist, but I think Kendrick could do more. And you saw that with that kid, the kid who had the flag, like you're saying, he didn't. I don't know where it's at. I don't know to what degree he supported him in any way.
They just 4 months later, put a warrant out for him for disturbing the peace or something. And I know we're emotional beings who have the ability to logic. We're really good at reasoning and rationalizing. And so, of course, people are going to be able to justify why it's actually revolutionary. But if it was so revolutionary, I don't think the Super Bowl would be allowing you to see it. And so I think they understand that really what you're going to get is American flags are cool. And it's cool to have the American flag. I don't think we're getting the idea that you're supposed to be burning the American flag. That would be cool. I think we're getting the idea that Buffalo Soldiers are cool. Fighting in the U.S. military is cool. And it's not. It's sad and weak and, slave
So
mentality.
everybody, obviously the NFL is definitely linked in with the military stuff, without a doubt. And any system, Sheaves, is going to, they're not going to, again, we have a system where you can burn the flag. People won't like it, but we live in a country where you can. Now, again, like we talked about a second ago, anybody who's trying to undermine your freedom to do that is pulling you into some garbage. Any country that says you can't do that, fine, you can over there. It's just it's funny how, I don't know, when you see this angry response from the Arab world for people who speak about Muhammad or who critique the Quran in some way, people jump on that. They go, oh, freedom of speech, right? The whole thing with Charlie Hebdo, they critique the Arab world for this sort of inability.
The actions of one
but
person.
then you see that in Glastonbury, lots of people have lost their jobs. The BBC, the head of a creative for the BBC, lost their job, had to step down over this.
And honestly, it's going to be seen, I'm about to quit my job. We all have to do that. We live in a death machine that works to profit off of the deaths of brown people and children and poor people. And so we all have to stop it. We had this idea, we learned that people came to save people who were in the Holocaust in Europe. Armies came to save them. And we're finding ourselves in this pickle now that we've told ourselves that we are the army that saves and frees and, makes things better. And so now we're seeing who we actually are. We're the bad guys.
We're the bad guys for sure in a lot of ways. And when you look at it closely, I'm just shocked at how, I asked in a different video, where are the adults? You know what I'm saying? I'm a 42-year-old adult who's been, who's worked in Congress and in mainstream corporate media, and I'm shocked by the fealty, the lack of depth, the lack of thinking, the lack of commitment to any true principles. All the stuff we learned about the brilliance of the Constitution and these interpretations and the human rights, and I went to grad school, international law and human rights, and you just see people dispense with it whenever it's not convenient. People in Congress, they follow where their funders tell them to go. They're not grounded in anything, and I find it disgusting. I'm actually beyond being troubled by it. Maybe I'm in the angry sort of fuck these people kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is completely nonsense, and it's not helping. It's selfish as well, right? They're moving based on their personal sense of their careers. They're not moving with the hallowed hope that their children will have a better world and will have greater access to their own freedoms.
Yeah, it's also very on that vein, it's short-sighted. You guys really think you're going to be able to bludgeon everyone into not speaking about what the IOF is very proudly boasting about?
Obviously doing.
You really think your children are going to look back and remember they were a Nazi, but at least we got to have cool summer vacays?
Nonsense
You can
stuff,
hope.
y'all.
You can hope. But
We have to make sure the world is the right world.
That's the other thing too about like children, to loop it back to Ashanti and Nelly. Like, why are women giving up our lives to bring children into a world where men are expected to just make money?
Again, they've crystallized it that's the thing. Like, money does solve a lot of problems for people. So they, you know,
Then how come there's so many problems still?
For individuals, it solves a lot of problems for the person who has the money, and like personal problems. And so they've just crystallized the thing. But we need something more. I wrote about this. Like, men, the definition of manhood is evolving, whether we like it or not, and it has to kind of keep going.
Yes.
Where the responsibility. Sure, making money is an interesting thing. Those who are clever enough to navigate this thing, that's interesting. But at the expense of other things, at the expense of integrity, at the expense of our future, to stay quiet and make money. So now, you know, we're gonna live our children are gonna inherit a world where you can't talk about genocide, you can't talk about Holocaust,
and in a world in which, okay, so I just like Googled it. Ashanti's estimated net worth is 20 million, while Nelly's estimated net worth is 70 million. So they are showing poorer Black boys and men and Black people that 20 million isn't enough, 70 million isn't enough. So you're always going to have to keep tap dancing, keep colluding with the bad guys. It's because it's never enough. You're never enough.
The thing with this logic is, it's not driven. There is no dollar amount, and you know, prices are rising, value, like this stuff is, you can't, as soon as you hit that marker, it just keeps pulling you. And so you have to, I just think you got to keep being grounded in reality and in love, or else you'll get lost. You know what I'm saying?
In yourself too, like grounded in yourself and what you want to do. And we're taught to override what we want, what we feel, what we desire with logic. And it ends up having a world that we don't want, we don't like, we don't desire, but we've rationalized it. It makes sense.
Well, the tough thing too is, I mean, if you're Nelly, 70 million net worth, and people are still calling you for tours, and you can set up several city tours.
Say no.
It's also what he loves. You know what I'm saying? It's not what he doesn't love. This is an exciting.
If he loved it so much, he would do it for free.
That's wild.
Like I love Palestine,
I hope
and so I will I will advocate for it for free. I will operate it at a loss in order to see it succeed. And so like, that's why I never understood like the idea, like, why do we pay football players or athletes or celebrities so much money when like they're doing something they love? They should do it for free.
Well, obviously, you know that you and I are going to be doing stuff we love, and we won't be doing it for free. So
yeah,
there's that.
But 20 million will be enough. 1 million will be enough.
But also,
like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, okay, he does it for free. Then, like, he has $70 million. He can afford to help his wife. He can afford to not work. He can afford to take his entire family on a tour with him. This is all made up. Everything's made up. So he can do whatever he wants. He has all the power. But still, when someone invites him, he's got to, like, no. Like,
I think it's his tour. I think, he created it. I think he wants to, I mean, he can do absolutely whatever they could bring everybody on tour. You know, I think he's clearly got some traditional stuff going on. So just in general, like, he probably looks at it as an exciting time to be away from the wife, potentially, and all this stuff. So, and this is like, the only reason we know any of this is because they've opened up their home to show sort of how the back end looks, you know what I'm saying? So. And so I guess they open themselves to this kind of critique.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I think it's good. I think
got
it's
their
good
thing.
because
they got their agreement.
I think a lot of times women, you know, we say like we're gonna be the ones to like do the childbearing, do the unpaid labor because like we don't have the money to pay someone to do it. But I think they're showing that even when you do have the money, the women are still supposed to do what they don't want.
Yeah.
And the men can still do whatever they want.
In this context of the manosphere and us trying to clamor ourselves out of these masculine constructions that I think are actually burdens, in this climate, I think it's definitely not a good look to say what he was saying, which is he's like, I got nothing for him until he can walk and talk. And even then, you know, so there's some sort of agreement that in the future, in a couple of years, we'll see how that works out. You know what I'm saying? If you got all these cloistered boxes on what you can and how you can engage, I think it produces issues.
Yeah. And I just look, their child is less than a year old. And it's like,
yeah,
dang, you want to get away from your wife and child so badly? Like in the first 12 months, it was too much. You didn't like the experience. Couldn't not creative enough to understand why, like, this is the actual magical, cool, impressive thing, and not, you know, doing a little tour thing that you've done all of your life.
Hey man, tours pulling another 20 million or more.
What's the point of that? You can't take it with you.
It's a value. It's them. It might be an agreement. Ashanti might have a tour. We might want an Ashanti tour. You know what I'm saying? But the challenge is that you're going after the tour in a weird way that sits weird with me. But the challenge is the relationship and you know what I'm saying? Because if Ashanti goes on tour, I would hope that Nelly would pick up some slack and be this.
It's exactly, but he's kind of said that he won't. He doesn't have anything for them. But also, they don't have to work. I don't like celebrities who like don't need the money showing poor people who do have to work in order to get their basic needs met. I don't like celebrities saying that you still have to work for the money. Like, if you don't need to work for the money, you should just be doing it for funsies.
That's what I'm saying. She was like, and we'll get to a point where he's doing what is funsies, and they're gonna and it's 20 million. You know what I'm saying? Like,
then it should be going somewhere else. Then that's the thing too. Okay, then you should be protesting for Palestine.
That's the thing.
Like Bob Vylan doesn't have 70 million to his name. Nelly does.
It speaks to the creativity. It speaks to the lack of it. You know what I'm saying?
And so he literally has a woman caring for his child. He's not even burdened with child rearing. He doesn't have to make money. And he can't speak up for people who need the rich people too.
Yeah.
Plant. CIA. Harmful. Not a role model.
Perfect.
We did it. Episode 7. Yeah. I love how that kind of weaved into sort of those two things kind of made sense together in a weird way, right? Bob Vylan, the need to speak up, the world that we're building, whether you believe it or not, your silence is not just silence. Your silence is a vacuum that is being filled by other people's vision and creativity, their ugliness and their brilliance. You got to step in it. If you're an artist, that's part of what it means to be an artist, you know what I'm saying? And then, and then artists have these personal lives, and so we got to see Nelly's thing. And I do think men and women, we can create our worlds together.
We can. Yeah. And like, I think we really need men to get more creative in their ability to create, because I think this connection between these two topics is so good. It's kind of like, what is the role of the artist? What is the role of money to the artist? What is the role of men? What is the role of women? What is the role of parents?
What are these roles?
Yeah, what are these roles?
What are these roles? Hold on. What are these roles? Always more to know. Okay. Last words, babe?
Yeah. Men, step your pussies up. Women are literally giving their vessels and their all to create the life that you guys want, the world that you say you want, a world with children and where women are, your helpmates and things. And like,
it's all about love. It's all about loving the self and loving the other. And then there's no more intimate other than your partner, so love and just be aware, and you know what I'm saying? And I think it's happening. It's not probably happening as fast as my baby would like, but this transformation of the masculine definition and performance, we're in a process, real talk.
To be more like Bob Vylan, in the artistic sense. Do what you love, say what you want, say what needs to be said, even if it costs you your money.
Absolutely. Oh man, like this money first thing is a real problem. And by the way, Bob Vylan's gonna be fine.
Yes.
He's
this is the thing that's
It's the same on
Setting
the
them off.
journalism stuff actually too. There's a lot of these like Zateo and Mehdi Hassan, the MSNBC dude, this like guy who made a ton of money over there, and then when it came time, he's like, I can't work over there. I don't know if they got fired him or how it worked, but he started saying things that they were like, oh no, we're here to fucking
Propaganda.
suck on Netanyahu's toes. You can't say shit like this. And so he's like, well, I'm gone. And he goes and I'm sure it was daunting and weird, but he teamed up with other people. There's this whole vibrant live stream system, and you know they hooked it up, and now he seems to be doing quite well. They just hit an anniversary and they're doing well. All of this stuff is possible. We're so lucky to be alive in this moment. It's only there for you to grasp and take it and be creative. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We're the draw. You're the draw. You don't have to like, oh well, it's they're so much powerful. No one is more powerful than you.
No one. No one.
No one.
That's it. End of episode. Peace. See you next Sunday. Yeah. Subscribe.
What's another Ashanti song? Go to this tab real quick.
This is Ja Rule songs.
But Ashanti's in a lot of these.
Are you gonna sing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sing us out. Let's see. Oh man. Oh, all of these.
You ready?
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't even remember these.
I don't remember.
Can you rock with me?
There we go.
Now stop with me. Can you take it to the top with me?
Peace.
I just wanna love you, baby. Can you roll with me? Can you roll with me? Can you take it home with me? See ya.